Ladies and gentlemen, my name is SneakyDexter and welcome to my first E3 2015 trailer analysis. Today I will be reviewing the 40 minutes gameplay trailer of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, and I will be pointing out all those little things that I personally noticed that I found interesting. I hope you stay with me. Without any further ado, let's get right to it. The very first thing I do personally see is that we will have the same setup screen in Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain as we had in Ground Zeroes. Also, the helicopter seems to serve as a mobile operating base away from Mother Base, according to the moderator. All customization options will be available in this base for us by accessing the IDroid, which seems to be the common way to access all resources and management stuff, either in the field before the start of a mission or in Mother Base itself. The moderator points out before starting the demo that microtransactions do actually exist in the game, but the balancing is supposed to be focused on playing without those, and that every microtransactions they included in the game are only aimed at those people who have not enough time. Well, personally, I gotta say I am not supporting this, because I do think microtransactions are completely unnecessary thing. No matter if you do have enough time or if you don't have enough time. Back in the days, before microtransactions or anything, there was cheats. You could do cheats, you could get a little bit more money, modify the files, that you had a little bit more progress, and then you could go on and say, well, instead of collecting all those resources, I did cheat myself to resources because I just simply don't have enough time, and cheats were free. And that is the main argument, in my opinion, because people who don't have enough time are punished here. Punished for not having enough time. Probably punished for having to earn the money to buy the games they want to buy. And that is not a thing that I personally do support in any way. Moving on. The next thing that I noticed that there is an option in the menu to download MGS5 Ground Zero save data, which confirms what we already know, that some things, like for example recruits, maybe picked up weapons as well, will be transferred into the Phantom Pain from our Ground Zero save file. Another thing I didn't see is that the player at hand seems to have a 1% completion rate so far, and considering that later on we do see that he already did 1 or 2 missions, it is very likely that we can expect a lot of side ops and a long main storyline, which is very nice to have finally more or less a little bit confirmed. Moving on in the demo, we can see the title Northern Kabul, Afghanistan Aerial Command Center. My guess is that the menu will show the place or the map you previously did a mission on, and it will just show it as your current location if you're in the helicopter and not at Mother Base. Obviously, if you're at Mother Base, it will show Mother Base as your current location, and you'll probably not even have this menu. You'll probably drop into Mother Base somehow. Not sure how that goes, but I'm pretty sure that is how it will be. The presentator goes on in showing you some photographs, which are maybe screenshots of the game, I'm not sure about that, which are pinned on the wall, and they seem to change while you progress within the game. What I ask myself here is, though, if those change automatically and are chosen randomly out of your screenshots or out of a set number of pictures, or if you can actually customize which pictures are shown on the wall, which would be pretty neat actually. Then we do see our currently selected weapons on the weapon rack. Then there is of course your support buddy, in this case Quiet. Later on we do also see Didi sitting there. I can't help but imagine, considering the support buddies, what it would look like if the horse would be sitting next to you in the chopper. I just I can't imagine it, sorry, it's just too hilarious. Anyway, moving on. Above us there are various maps and pictures, such as the one of Cass and something that looks like building blueprints actually, which makes me wonder if those are pictures of our current missions, or if those are just random pictures and random schematics to fill in the blank spaces of the helicopter somehow and make it seem more familiar. Both of it is of course okay, but would be pretty cool if those were actual pictures of our next missions that we have to do. Opening up the Android, we can see various tabs, including the main tabs called Mother Base, Map and Missions. I do very much like that they simplify the whole tab thing now, and that we have some clear big categories where we can go into instead of just changing between 4 or 5 tabs which have different functions here. We have the usual place and remove marker on the map, as well as the location indicator. We can also see various map modes, which seem to be very important in terms of navigation and might be quite useful in some situations. We have the options to switch the zoom, reset the coordinates, and zoom in and out. I'm not sure what switch zoom exactly means, but the latter two should be self-explanatory. We also have the number of Fulton devices that we have available, and we have the time of day, the current resources in GMP, and heroism, which I'm not very sure what it exactly means. It might have something to do with the morale of our Mother Base staff, or maybe it has something to do with what kind of decisions we make in the game or what actions we already did. Switching to the Mother Base tab, we have various options such as Customize, which obviously allows you to customize your weapon items and gear and so on. Development, which is probably for the R&D department to develop new tools and use them in the field. And we have resources. I'm not really sure what exactly this is about. Probably it has to do with the GMP and the raw materials we will be able to pick up during the game. As well as staff management, which is pretty easy to guess. We will probably be able to assign men to various posts and departments in this tab. We do have base facilities, which has probably to do with the building of Mother Base. Maybe we can switch between different facilities and see how they are doing, how the progress is, and if we even have those facilities. And then we have the database, which is probably explaining all the intel we picked up during our missions, and maybe even helps with the background lore for those guys who are not as familiar with the Metal Gear series as some of us are. Going on to the right side, we do see the E3 logo, which is probably an example for the actual ability to change the logo if you want to. In the actual game there will probably be the Diamond Dogs logo or your own personally created logo. We do see a tab called Ranks. I'm not sure why there are 2 rank tabs, maybe one for single player and one for multiplayer, I can imagine that. Then we have the number that seems to indicate the number of staff members on Mother Base, which is 69 at the current time. As well as another number close to it. I'm not sure what it is. It looks like the Mother Base symbol, and since the number 7 is behind it, it could be the number of facilities of Mother Base, as in platforms that Mother Base possesses. Or on the other hand, it could also be, since it looks a little bit like the quarantine logo, it could be how many sick or wounded or infected soldiers we have. the recent story trailer did seem to show some indication of a plague or something. Maybe that has something to do with that. That is also possible. Right down below we do see the usual information, very much like we did in Peace Walker, but a little bit more advanced, I think. We have the combat unit, which is obviously... We'll probably be able to play some of those soldiers which are in that combat unit, or at least send them on missions. And more on that later. And we have the security team, which is probably patrolling Mother Base, as well as the R&D department and the base development stuff, which is most probably responsible for the construction of Mother Base. We do have the support unit, which can give us support in the field, give us airdrops and anything else, as well as the intel team, which will be able to get us more and more info the better they are, which will probably be transferred right on our IDroid, sorry. Now it happened to me as well. The facility and teams, as you can see, have different levels and different numbers of individuals assigned to them. I guess with rising number of individuals and depending on how strong their abilities of each individual are, the level of the units and the departments would probably rise, just depending on what they have in terms of abilities and number of staff members. Below the general stats and information, we do have tabs that seem to contain the various units and facilities of Mother Base. Those are probably to oversee the project the units are conducting currently, at least that's how I imagine it. It's very interesting how very detailed and intricate and how controllable the actual units are, and how much you can go into detail in those menus and can get lost there. But I think the general overall setup is not bad, and I think we will be able to navigate pretty well within those menus. That's my impression, at least. Going further into the customization menu, we do see options such as weapons, helicopter, vehicles, body equipment, emblem, and base color. What really surprised me in this was that the sheer variety of customization in this case, especially being able to customize the equipment of the bodies and the color of Mother Base itself. We did know we could customize the colors of your online operating base, the forward operating base. However, we weren't really sure about Mother Base as far as I know. Now we are, and I'm pretty happy about that. One thing that I also found a really nice touch is that your buddies seem to move in the helicopter. If you have a little look at the menu while listening to me, Quiet seems to lie down every once in a while in the background, indicating how bored she is by the helicopter ride. And later on, Didi seems to move as well. But back to customization. First thing that pops into my eyes when going into the weapons customization is the actual weapon types. There actually seems to be a tab for every single type of weapon that we are able to use. And that is a very nice thing, because that makes it easier to choose our loadout later on. The next thing is that the fact that we have the option to actually define 3 preset options or quick setups for our own weapon, for one weapon type, which means that we can actually choose our favorite combinations of weapons and select them very quickly when we do want to head on a mission. On the upper right side you can see the switch display, which I'm not sure what exactly that has to mean. Maybe we can have various symbols for a weapon or different points of view on a weapon. I'm not sure how you want to switch that display exactly. He doesn't do it in the demo, so I'm not sure about that. We can see the description of the weapon, and right below the actual durability of our suppressor, as well as some basic stats such as damage and impact force and penetration, firing speed, effective range and grouping. Heading into the weapon viewer, we can already see a shit ton of customization options here. I'm really baffled about how much you can change here. You have the... We are actually able to pick the gun apart piece by piece. We can adjust things like barrels, magazine, stock, muzzle accessory, optics, two different kind of optics. Flashlights, laser sight, underbarrel, and the color or / the pattern of the weapon. I mean, how amazing is that? Seriously. It kind of reminds me of the gunsmith feature of Ghost Recon Future Soldier, but more advanced. And that is really a nice thing to do, especially for you weapon enthusiasts out there, which are probably going nuts seeing this. If every one of those customizable things we saw in the previous menus in the overall menus, like, I don't know, support bodies and vehicles and everything else, if they're as customizable as this, then seriously, I'm going crazy. One thing I noticed immediately when dropping out of the IDroid menu is that the weapon that we have seen previously changed to the one that we customized in the menu just 2 or 3 seconds ago. The next thing we are shown in is the third tab, the missions menu, where we have the options mission lists as well as side ops list, cassette tapes, log, and return to mother base. Most of those options are pretty obvious, but it is interesting to note that cassette tapes are back with both interesting mission intel, but also with music you can listen to and even customize as your entrance and exit helicopter music for a dramatic entrance. Music seems to be both normal music as well as pieces of the Metal Gear franchise soundtracks, including previous games probably, such as Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots also had. One thing I do, one concern I do have here is the actual licensing of the music, especially for Let's Players and people who make walkthroughs and everything. They might have to do without those dramatic entrances if they want to monetize their videos. But that is obviously a common problem these days with a lot of Let's Plays. While quiet is getting up again in the background, the mission list is opened on our Android and we can see various missions such as A Hero's Way, C2W and Over the Fence, as well as previous missions of which the title is purposefully concealed probably. What we can also see is the GMP that those missions will yield upon completion, the rank we did complete the mission in, and something that might be a completion rate such as 3 out of 5 or 0 out of 5 in case of the mission we are going to conduct. This indicator might be a listing of additional secondary objectives within this main mission. It might also be, however, an indicator of the past checkpoints and or mission progress. In case of the latter, the missions might be separated into different parts, almost like a big quest line when you have to do multiple quests in a row, all belonging to the same overall objective and storyline, like a chapter in a book, you know. I can imagine that being the case in Metal Gear Solid 5. Down below you can also see the options to play the briefing as well as the deploy option, which you can use right away if you want to. On the right side we do see a lot of information as well. For once, the map title says Northern Kabul, Afghanistan, as I already mentioned when we dropped into the game, which might indicate that there are other maps within the Afghanistan country that we can actually go to. It might, on the other hand, just be a very detailed description of our current place. Down below you can see a list of obtainable blueprints we know of in the area, probably based on what intel we picked up during other missions, and the map outlines the official mission areas. As we already know, there will be mission areas in the Phantom Pain, but they will be big, as you can see here, for the currently selected mission. But here we are actually not going into one specific mission, but the player seems to switch to another tab called Free Roam. And the mod goes on explaining that we will be able to just drop down on the map and start right off without having a mission selected. And that we can actually pick up the mission later on from the ground. Would we choose a specific mission, it would drop us down in the designated mission area and we would be restricted to that area before we, or until we end the mission. Leaving the mission area would result in aborting the mission and automatically switch us to free roam mode. Later we are also told that we are actually able to leave to end a mission by leaving the mission area once our objectives are fulfilled. So we can complete a mission by just leaving the hot zone and switching into free roam mode automatically. Once a mission is selected, we will be able to switch our loadout, including our gear, buddies, vehicles, and even our character. Yes, more on that later, guys. In the buddy menu we can choose the weapon of our buddies, which is pretty cool, which makes me actually think that we might be able to take other human buddies with us, aside from Quiet, such as maybe Ocelot or even our soldiers from Mother Base. We can also choose the uniforms, so I am sure if some of you don't like Quiet's naked outfit, as it is called here, you can probably unlock a uniform for her that you're more comfortable with. On the right hand side now we can see the orders Quiet can perform. Seems that this system is based on her loyalty to you and Mother Base, which I assume is shown by the number of diamond dog symbols right below her name. Attempting to change the body, we can see various options such as D-Horse, Diamond Dog, and D-Walker, which was probably, I think, which was first shown in the E3 2013 extended cut trailer and later on in the Metal Gear Online trailer. It also seems that we can customize the equipment for our animal bodies, including the protection they have, which makes me very happy. I think that's pretty cool that we can actually give our D-Dog or our horse armor so they can take more hits before they go down. In the vehicle menu then we seem to be able to choose a variety of vehicles, though it seems we have to pay for their transportation, as the numbers on the right side of the screen indicate. On the other hand, the number might also just show the number of vehicles which of that type which are available on Mother Base. Since the tanks seem to have 2 and 3, and the smaller vehicles seem to be more. So that would be that would be reasonable. The showcase moderator also mentions the customizability of the vehicles themselves, such as the emblem, color, or the camo. And now, yes, we can actually select our character. That means we do not have to play as Snake in the side ops or in free roam mode. The main missions will probably still be Snake, but for everything else we can actually choose any member of Mother Base, it seems, as long as the member you choose is put in the combat unit of Mother Base and has the appropriate skills for that. Yeah, that's where this comes in, the combat unit. On the right side you can see the skills of the selected characters. We see names like Scowling D-hole, Vile Crab, and Sadistic Kitten, so I wonder if we can actually name the characters or the staff members that we have, or if we maybe can give them code names. That would be pretty cool. Now, in this case, this is where the right side of the loadout screen becomes very important. We see, of course, general information such as vehicles, bodies, and the name of your character. But we also see the character-specific loadout. I don't, for example, think that any other character than Snake can carry a bionic arm. Down below we also have the other general equipment such as grenades, magazines, or other items such as the phantom cigar, the cardboard box and the night vision goggles, which all indicated we can take a lot of stuff with us. We can probably also expand the number of things we can take with us by putting points in research and development in the specific point for that. And last but not least, we do see the items Snake takes with him, such as the IDroid and how many Fultons he has, and so on. The first thing I cannot really identify, but well, I guess it's probably some kind of goggle, maybe the night vision goggle, I'm not sure about that. We can also see down below the total cost of the deployment, because some equipment, vehicles, or even support bodies do cost an amount of GMP to be transported to the area. That probably counts for the horse, for example, because the horse cannot fit into the helicopter, and other support bodies such as the robot. And before commencing the mission we can also select the drop time, either morning, evening or ASAP it seems, which is based on the current time which your helicopter menu is in. In this case it was 11, I think. As you probably just saw, the time will actually change depending on where we go, which means that it takes actual in-game time to fly from one place to the other. We started at 11 or something like that, and now we have 2:30, which is a pretty long flying time if you ask me. While deploying, it also seems that the player is able to open the helicopter door and look at the scenery manually, which is very nice and great in terms of giving the player more control about what he is doing, how he's spending his time until he can commence the mission. Again, it is those little things, that attention to detail, that makes me really excited about games, because you can really see how much work and love went into the actual development of the game, and because it makes the world around you feel a lot more alive and vivid. Didi taking care of his business is another example for the attention to detail, though a very weird example, I gotta say. While getting into the truck, we can already see several messages popping up telling us that D-Dog did find a medical plant and a wild animal, which will probably make him very useful in finding things on the map, maybe even in scouting ahead for enemies and helping us in our stealth gameplay. The moderator explains to us, opening the IDroid again, that missions will be unlocked in groups or blocks, and we will be able to conduct them in any order we like. A very nice concept in my opinion, since it gives you much more freedom and increases the variety and replayability of the game, of course. Also, as we can see now, apparently accepting a mission will not change our status in any way. It will only mark the start points of the mission. Yes, there are multiple start points for each mission on our map, and we can actually progress as if nothing happened and can do whatever we want during that time. In fact, the player goes on to mark the location of something called a side-up, which is explained to be available for you at any time before, after, or during a mission. Looking on the map, one can see the title Expert interpreter Russian, as well as the location Lamar Kati Palace, and the appropriate alert level for this very location, in this case low. Also, an interesting thing to notice is that we can actually place different markers, though I think that was known already. We can actually place A, B, C and so on to have different markers on maps and give us a little bit more freedom in pointing out points of interest and interesting other locations and targets. The way I understood this is that if you accept a main mission, you can still do anything you want until you manually approach a mission start point and start up the mission. While approaching the site up area, you will for very short second also be able to see a report of the intel team telling you that it spotted a threat within the outpost you are approaching. This can be things like machine guns, as well as mortars, air defenses or similar things. My guess is that the better your intel team is and the higher in number and level it is, the more it can actually spot for you and from further away probably, and can update your map with that intel. In the current site-up, Snake is looking for a soldier who can serve as Russian translator for the intel team. While doing reconnaissance, with our binoculars, you can see the ability analyzer again from Peace Walker and from previous demos of Metal Gear Solid 5 to Phantom Pain. It also seems we can place and remove markers on the map while using the binoculars. Funny that D-Dog is actually lying down with us to not give away our position. It also seems like we can order DD to either follow us or wait at a specific point in order to not give away our position. During our approach, we see another example of DD detecting and marking enemies for the player. The next thing happening is that the player orders DD to distract the enemies. A good way to utilize DD for a stealth approach, I think. But let's just hope he doesn't get hurt in the process of doing that, or at least that he doesn't get hurt often while doing that. While taking down the enemy, some of you might notice the suppressor Snake attached to his SMG, which works just perfectly fine. The following interrogation reveals that enemies will not be able to give us any intel should we not have the necessary personnel to translate his language in the intel team. Some people did remark that Snake could speak Russian in Snake Eater, and I do agree that it is a little bit weird that he can't understand it. However, this might just be one of those situations where Hideo Kojima warned us about. Where the Phantom Pain is breaking the lore of the Metal Gear series a little bit. Also, I think you might be able to kind of excuse that fact a little bit by pointing out that Snake was in a coma for 9 years and might have lost some abilities in his accident. Furthermore, in the intel scope you can see that the yellow marked ability fields are skills in which the soldiers you are aiming at exceed and might be useful for you as a staff member. You can also note that Fultoning always consumes GMP, and we have a big but limited supply of Fulton packs in the field, one which we probably can expand by researching the necessary blueprints in the R&D department. The next thing the player does is Fultoning various items such as turrets and mortars, which can not only serve as stock up supplies but also to prevent enemies from using them against you later on. We also pick up some resources along the way. Those seem to have the purpose of being used on Mother Base, maybe for construction or maybe also to transfer them into GMP later on. As we listen to a history lesson by Cass telling what the place's origin is, we leave D-Dog behind and just to keep him safe. I do actually wonder if there are multiple D-Dogs in the game, considering that Hideo Kojima previously confirmed that D-Dogs, depending on where we find him, can look differently. So I wonder if D-Dog might, if we might be able to have 2 or 3 D-Dogs, or if we pick up the first D-Dog, that is our definite D-Dog for the rest of the game and we do not find anyone else. Having identified our target with the binoculars, then we climb up one level using an old closet. Now, this moment is very important here. As you have seen, we knocked off a chair and it seems that the sound from moving or knocking off objects can actually attract the attention of enemies nearby. In this case, we can order D-Dog to bark in order to distract the enemy's attention, allowing us to go in for a silent takedown. Since the ceiling was in the way though, we can now not Fulton the target, but have to move it to the other side of the room. Despite the ceiling being there too, it seems that a simple hole in it is enough to be able to Fulton someone successfully. As you can see on the right side of the screen, side ops do yield a big amount of GMP upon completion. In the support unit menu now, we can see very detailed information on a lot of things, including the health of our soldiers, the loyalty of the selected soldiers, indicated by the diamond dog symbols, the suitability for the selected unit, and the option to switch the assignment of our staff members. One step back in the staff management menu, we can now see the function and the information displayed in the various units tabs available. It shows the description of sub-departments within the unit, including the rank of the functionality. Upon continuing the gameplay, the moderator mentions having spotted a green marker which indicates an ally, in this case a prisoner or hostage we are able to save. So it seems even side ops have secondary objectives within them, or things we can pick up and people we can rescue. Aside from the usual interrogation options, there's not a lot to remark, although I found one interesting thing, I noticed this just shortly, was the middle left option of asking for the other soldiers' positions. Might be an option to ask for the other prisoners' positions though, I'm not sure about that. Probably it's the former though. I can't help but wonder if we can even tell enemies to freeze and get down on their knees or on their stomach without a translator. That would be something very useful to know. Also, knocking guys out by kicking them in the stomach, ridiculous. My next 2 points on the to remark list are the blueprints, of course, we can pick up, as well as the music tapes we can find, which is pretty funny that we can actually have a real music collection, as well as the pretty cool future of being able to develop new technology in the R&D department based on blueprints that we find. I wonder if enemies notice though if when the radio stops playing when we are taking those music tapes. Fultons, as we know, can be detected, and you have to put enemies down very quickly before they report the suspicious events they noticed.
The enemy's down, but not before he radioed for help. So he's on alert. So let's just be careful not to get spotted and make our escape.
This reminds me of Splinter Cell Chaos Theory here. Some of you know what I'm talking about. The next thing to notice a little bit down the line, one thing to mention though, is the consistent fourth wall breaking comments of cars while playing the game. I just love that. As well as the fact that while you use the Phantom Cigar, it seems that stunned enemies remain stunned. While we are driving to our main mission, you can also see that Fulton extractions do not arrive at Mother Base instantly. They seem to take some time until they actually check in. I don't know if they definitely arrive or if there is a chance that they fail during the extraction, but I'm pretty sure that this wouldn't happen. It would be pretty annoying that some of your extractions are not successful. Arriving at our mission starting point, you can see a green package with an antenna on top of it, from which you can download the mission intel to your iDroid. Would we have started the mission from the chopper, we would probably have had our mission briefing there and not on the ground. Now we do have the mission briefing on the ground while we're moving, as well as the credits popping up left and right of Snake, stating the protagonists and even the enemy combatants, as well as the level designer and of course the producer, in this case Hideo Kojima. What is to note here is that they do not do it in an intrusive way. They seem to just seamlessly blend in the credits into the gameplay.
Alright, so as Miller explained, our mission here is to eliminate the Spetsnaz commander, and we can do that any way we like. We can kill him, we can open him, we can extract him by helicopter. The choice is yours, but before we proceed, I want to introduce you to another buddy.
Picking up the iDroid and going to the map, we can also review additional mission intel while waiting for our supply drops. In this case it's D-Walker, a robot buddy that, as I said, has first been introduced in E3 2013, shortly shown, I think, and properly introduced with the Metal Gear Online trailer. This robot buddy seems to be able to be customizable by players for both stealth and combat, not both at the same time, but either or. Which is a great thing to do, though I cannot really imagine how he can be optimized for stealth. The blueprint previously obtained by the player seem to have unlocked a suppressor for a sniper rifle, and the moderator goes on, or rather the player goes on in showing us that some development doesn't take a lot of time but is actually instantly bought upon of course while consuming GMP. And you can drop them right into the field, which means that your development progress on some of the items might not take any time. Again, note that every delivery of your support unit costs money, so be careful what you order during a mission, how much you order. Another tiny thing to notice is that you can only have one support buddy at a time, which can be seen by the fact that D-Dock has been automatically redeployed once you ordered D-Walker to be deployed to you. What I have to say is that I'm really impressed by the natural way that the game can keep you in the story with the occasionally triggered dialogue and keep you within the immersion without using a lot of cutscenes. I really like that a lot in games. If they don't use too many cutscenes, if they do actually introduce the story and deepen it by having dialogue during the gameplay. While doing recon, you can see a sniper with your binoculars. Left of the screen there is a marker indicating the elevation of the actual object in relation to where you are. While taking out the sniper cast tells you to watch the bullet drop, a very simple mechanic in this case, since it doesn't really include wind speed or anything else, but I think it is nice that they still included some kind of bullet drop if you surpass your effective range, the effective range of the weapon you are using. So long distance headshots, it seems, count as tactical takedowns and earn us rewards. While I have a hard time to believe how D-Walker is able to move silently with his wheels out and the way he moves, I do like the punch move and the ability to pick up enemies and carry them around with D-Walker. I also like the extreme security measures of the enemies, such as helmets and thicker armor, as well as anti-air radar to kind of counter your abilities and prevent the chopper from landing.
Alright, so using your intel radio like so can reveal lots of useful information. As Ocelot explained, we could destroy the anti-air radar and create a landing zone nearby, but it would alert the enemy to our presence. So for now, let's just keep on moving. Taking a look at our map.
Also, it seems the intel team cannot mark our enemies directly, but only predict their field of movement in general area. With the help of our support buddies, however, we are able to mark them successfully, since it seems like every one of our support buddies, minus the horse maybe, has the ability to detect enemies around us in one way or another. Also good to note is when looking at the map, we can order a resupply package drop to location of our choice. Again, keep in mind, it costs money. Everything costs money here. You gotta household with that. As we go into the camp, it is important to note that I personally do assume enemies will be a lot more in the final game, and that the number of enemies shown here was actually reduced to for demonstration purposes.
Those enemy soldiers are using different gear than before. Maybe trying to put up some resistance against your tactics. You might not do so while sticking to the same moves.
So expect the missions to take a lot longer if you're going for a stealth approach. That's just my personal opinion, of course, but I assume it is that way, because those outposts are a little bit scarce of enemies. So, furthermore, I also like that every change of intel or resources or map modes is noted in the intel log at the left side of your screen, which is neither incredibly small and not readable or very intrusive on your immersion.
Great. Interrogating the enemy gave us the rough location of our target. Let's go ahead and open up our map and plan our route. Alright, so here's our target's
subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
You have arrived at your destination.
Is that him?
Peeking above obstacles and cover with your binoculars also seems to work better than in Ground Zeroes now. I also have to note that the purposefully conducted stealth approach of the demo, the developers really know their audience, I gotta say, and do not overburden or bore them with unnecessary action. Yes, the escape is loud, which comes afterwards, but they don't exaggerate it. They really show what the game is actually about, which is tactical stealth espionage. With a 360 approach, within a large open world sandbox, you know what I'm talking about. The developers know their audience.
Analysis complete.
Another important thing to note is that cover takedowns seem to count as tactical takedowns as well, but probably only if they are conducted stealthily. Also, enemies seem to actually hear it if you fault on people, not only see it, so be careful in faulting people close to other enemies, especially if they have an armor as thick as this guy here. Hiding enemies has also become a lot easier, as we know, since there are a lot more objects now where we can hide enemies in. Aside from the enemies' unusual fondness of Western English music, which kind of strikes me as odd, it's also noteworthy that enemies will use your own tactic against you, like with this decoy here. On the bottom of the screen we shortly saw one item flashing up. I think it was a raw diamond or something like that. That is another example of the resources you can pick up during your missions. After the player purposefully ignores the enemy being suspicious and gets into combat, we can see the completed mission task 1 of 5 and 2 of 5 popping up in our interlog. It seems my previous assumption was correct, and the numbers next to the mission indicate the tasks that you can perform during a mission, such as sub-objectives, so to speak. Exfiltrating the so-called hot zone will end the mission and complete it, as well as exfiltrating by calling in a helicopter. Nothing really more noteworthy about the firefight aside from the usage of the shield and the fact that enemies will focus on the last known position if they lose sight of you. Also, you seem to take a lot of hits as Snake. I don't know how far his armor is, if he has some special kind of armor that can take all those hits. But it's surely a lot of hits that Snake just took. I'm not really a fan, I gotta say, of the replenishing health, but considering it's an open world game and there's so much that can happen to you, it might be more useful than, let's say, filling it up with rations all the time. The last thing to note is that the chopper can actually be taken down very easily by enemies, and that CAS will evacuate your support buddies if they're injured and or damaged critically. It seems that we are able to, however, keep the enemies busy while the chopper is landing, and once on the helicopter we are actually able to use the railgun to secure our escape. The mission will end with the chopper escaping, and as Snake closes the door we are transferred back into our Air Command Center menu. Well, that's about all I had noticed in the E3 2015 gameplay demo of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. I hope you enjoyed this trailer analysis, and I hope you come back for more content. Subscribe if you like my channel, if you like to see more content like that, or if you are interested in first impressions, let's plays, reviews. I guess that's it for today. See you guys soon.